I am super excited for this episode because I get to interview Kristin Orphan, who is the co-founder and creative director at Finally Home. They are a client of mine, and I've had the pleasure of working with them for the last couple of years, helping them with their email, their website, their marketing, all of the things. And they are just a wonderful organization supporting foster, adoptive, and kinship families with whole family strengthening. They help those families post placement as they kind of navigate what happens when you say yes. And now you have children in your home that have experienced trauma that you don't know. And so, really, they help families come together and understand how to communicate better, how kids can understand their big emotions and how to share what they're going through, and how the whole family can kind of start to heal. And there's so much more to it than that, but that's it in a nutshell. And so today I'm excited to have her here because she is the co-founder and has been with Finally Home for over 20 years. And that's a long haul. And I know that burnout is really, really real in our space, and wanted her to just kind of come on and share why they got into the work that they do, how she has maintained that longevity, and how she still finds joy in doing the work that she does and what she's looking forward to. So, no marketing strategies today, no tactics, but really just hope that you get inspired by her story, how she has led and grown this organization alongside her husband, and kind of what, inspiration you might be able to bring back to your organization, or just kind of rejuvenate yourself in kind of what you're doing on a daily basis and why you got into the work that you are. Kristin Orphan holds a Master's of Science in Mental Health and Wellness with an emphasis in family dynamics and is a certified family life educator. She is also an adjunct professor in psychology. Kristin is also the managing partner of Family Wellness Associates and a Family Wellness Master Trainer. She is a worship leader and keynote speaker for special events and retreats nationwide. And in her downtime, Kristin enjoys writing as well as performing as a vocal artist. I think you're really going to enjoy this episode. It was so fun. I could have talked to her forever, but just so many good ways to think about how we approach our organization, how we approach our growth, how we approach ourselves as we're building something that we care about. So perfect for you if you're a founder, perfect for you if you're an executive director, if you're thinking about starting a nonprofit organization, all good things. But I'm so excited for you to hear this episode. And I'm so excited that this episode is part of the podcast-a-thon. So this week, more than 1,000 podcasters are coming together to feature nonprofit organizations. Now, yes, this episode or this podcast is geared towards nonprofits, but we don't often have nonprofit organizations as guests. Although if you liked this episode, let me know and maybe we'll do it more often. But join the community of people that are all sharing and highlighting nonprofits of their choice this week in March during the podcast-a-thon. And we'll link all of that up in the show notes at thefirstclick.net/293. And if you want another nonprofit episode, make sure you check out episode 39 on the Easy Style with Sammy podcast, my other podcast that I do that's more about inspirational stories like what you heard today. But we will be featuring Nancy Ekonomu in that episode, all about her inspiration for starting her nonprofit organization. So again, you can check that out on Easy Style with Sammy. It will be launching on Thursday of this week. So check out the website, see what other nonprofit inspiration you can glean from, again, more than 1,000 podcasters that are joining in this movement today. I'm grateful to be a part of it, and thank you for listening to this episode. Let's get into it. You're listening to the Digital Marketing Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Bedell-Mulhern. Each month, we dive deep into a digital marketing or fundraising strategy that you can implement in your organization. Each week, you'll hear from guest experts, nonprofits, and myself on best practices, tips, and resources to help you raise more money online and reach your organizational goals. Hey friends, please join me in welcoming Kristin Orphan to the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
I have been so excited for this episode because we've known each other for a few years now, and I've been so inspired by you and Finally Home and the work that you do. And so often we all see things that are happening. We all see people that might need additional support, animals that might need additional love and care, or food insert all of the things that you're passionate about. But I just kind of want to start with it takes a special person to see that gap and lean
Mm.
into it and say, you know what? It's not that we just see this gap, we're going to do something about it. So I would love for you to just kind of start with why you felt like you wanted to step in and kind of serve foster kinship and adoptive families and found an organization with your husband, which is a whole nother layer of complexity. So kind of how did that first initially come about?
Mm. Well, it definitely came about out of our own personal journey as foster, adoptive, and kinship, interestingly. We had been the caregivers and eventual kinship guardians to my husband's youngest brother, who's developmentally disabled. He was 22 at the time, and we had two young sons, and that was a whole experience. Whenever you are asked to do something like that first for your family, there are things you just can't fully wrap your mind around, which I'm glad because you don't know exactly what it's going to be like and what the challenges are. So we experienced that, this kinship care and all of the family dynamics, extended family stressors, and all of the things. And then we also, as I said, we had two young sons at the time. It felt like I was seeing the need for foster parents and
Mm-hmm.
adoptive parents everywhere I turned. It's like every setting, every conversation I was in was just talking about this idea. And it was so compelling to me, particularly and very, very intimately wrapped up in our own family faith journey and what we truly
Mm-hmm.
believed that God was calling us to do is to open our eyes. We were so blessed as a family and wanted to have more kids, and yet truly believed that what we were being called to was to open our homes
Mm-hmm.
to kids who needed a family. And so, once again, being incredibly excited about that, but also being very naive. And so, fast forward through all of the process, what you see in these
Mm-hmm.
compelling calls, even on TV or whatever, is like do this great thing, and it all feels really wonderful. And then you enter into a process where your entire life is exposed as it should be. But of course, that's not something you have ever experienced or anticipated. So every step from the vetting to the certification, everything feeling so delayed beyond it's like this great thing we're wanting to do and yet it's so hard,
Yeah.
to the surprising way we actually were matched up, I'll just put it that way, with both of our daughters, all of that. And then the journey actually of raising kids who'd experienced trauma and abuse. So
Mm.
all of that is just a very, very quick snapshot of what we experienced personally. So your question about where did this come from and why, it came out of those personal experiences and then feeling so discouraged, so
Mm.
overwhelmed, so ill equipped, and then starting to reach out and have conversations like, is this, was this like this for you? You know, to finding
Yeah.
people who were in a similar journey and realizing that there were all these commonalities in families like ours, even if our stories were entirely different, there were common themes. So it was that, Sammy, that was coming up over and over. And I remember a moment just in prayer and journaling and pouring my heart out to the Lord saying, we wanted to do this great thing. We thought it was coming from a really good place and that we had so much to offer. And
Mm.
now here we are feeling so overwhelmed, hurt, isolated because people that had been in our circle didn't understand. Now, we didn't really feel the rejection that a lot of people do. We felt almost a self isolation because we were so exhausted that we just thought they will never get it. And when I say they, I'm
Yeah.
just talking about people who weren't on this journey. So all of a sudden, for a lot of reasons. So it was all of those things. And then this just moment in prayer where I truly believed that the Lord was saying, yeah, it is really hard. And I'm going to call you to be someone who,
Yeah.
who knows what it's like and can then go and link people who are really alone, ill equipped, isolated with all of the incredible resources, love, and people who they want to help, they just don't know how. So it was
Yeah.
that, and it was deeply spiritual, emotional, all of those things,
Hmm.
and certainly not logical, because we were we were very strung out, so to speak, and kind of serving out of an emptiness.
Well, I think that's beautiful. And was it something where like you and your husband Mark had been both kind of marinating in your heads and journaling and praying about separately, and then you kind of came together? Or was this something that you said, I'm really feeling called to do this, like let's do this together? Like how did that kind of come about?
It was really interesting because at the time, my husband Mark was serving a in a national initiative with the federal government, a whole grant where he was a part of a coalition of churches in at-risk communities that were going in and providing family strengthening education. So this was happening at the exact right time.
Mm.
And of course, at the time, we didn't see it as related. I was recognizing a need. I had actually resigned my full time job that I happened to love. So I was the one at home now doing what
Mm.
we couldn't afford, but we couldn't afford not to either, which was all hands on deck with these
Yeah.
two little girls and trying to keep things together. So I was experiencing what I was experiencing. Mark was experiencing personally, on our family journey. And in his work, he was out kind of interfacing with people who were serving families who were broken in a different way, biological families who
Mm.
needed more skills. So what happened that kind of linked these things together was I just went with him, to kind of get out. And I went with him to a retreat. He was there for work that he, in this federal grant, and I was just there to get a break, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And then this amazing magical thing happened that we listened to this content that was being encouraged to these at-risk families, and we thought we literally drove
Yeah.
home and said, that's what's missing. Because we recognized a need, we experienced the need. I told you we felt incredibly empty. Then it was like this beautiful gift. It wasn't conjured up by us. We thought, in the ocean of need, there's this one thing that makes sense, that if we could take this one thing, and that one thing in that particular experience was marriage education.
Mm.
Now, it was part of a larger program that included parenting and all of the things, but it was marriage education. And what we had been seeing over and over is that in all of the training and all of the equipping and all of even the required ongoing training for families like ours, people were not talking about marriage. What was this doing? And yet we were seeing people's marriages fall apart.
Hmm.
Because the way a husband and a wife, a man and a woman face certain things like this are very different.
Yeah.
Um, and we were seeing that people's relationships were getting pulled apart.
Yeah.
And so, and the way two human beings approach things. So relationship. So anyway, we drove away. So that's the answer to your question. That's where it started to become an us, like we both see this thing and we both see how this particular tool could be the one thing that we could start offering to people. That's how this whole thing started. We saw a need, we saw a resource, and we thought we
Hmm.
could do this. And we started dreaming on that drive home about the first, basically, marriage retreat. It was a 2-day retreat that we would offer specifically to foster adoptive families at the time. Even though we were a kinship family, we didn't even really see it that way. We just thought we're taking care of a family member. So it was foster adoptive families. We said we can do this thing, and we think that families like us would be really hungry for it.
Mm. I think what's really beautiful about that is uh, when we look at big picture, in your case, the foster care system, adoption, what families are going through, kinship care, it can feel really big. It is really
Mhm.
big.
Hmm.
And so what I love about that is you knew there was a gap that you were seeing, but you didn't try to step into it and say, well, we're going to fix the whole system and we're going to do all this and
Yeah.
that. Like you guys came in
Hmm.
very specifically on we know we can make an impact here. And so we're going to
Hmm.
lean into this and we're really going to support families in this way and then take it step by step by step. And so as you kind of launched into that first retreat, as you started developing, as you kind of started building your own nonprofit, what was it that kind of surprised you about the nonprofit world and actually then running a nonprofit?
Mm. Well, I think that the thing that surprised me was I was coming out of the church world,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that people, specifically churches, would see the need and be willing to step up in bigger ways at the beginning than they did. I thought it would be easier
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
that's really funny because easy and nonprofit, it just doesn't often have the, fall in the same sentence. So I think I was surprised, somewhat again naive, that what we would do is be a bridge. I thought that bridge would
Mm-hmm.
be built a lot faster. Because I don't say that in a condemning way in any way, because I came out of the church ministry world staff, and I understand that everybody, whether it's a church or a nonprofit, has a whole lot of things they're trying to do. Just because this thing is my one thing doesn't mean it's going to be your one thing. So
Yeah.
it wasn't even a disappointment, more of just a surprise, that the bridge that we were called to build has taken a lot longer.
Yeah.
Now, as an older person, having done this for a long time, I understand the even the wisdom, the gift that it takes a while to build things. It should take a while to build something that will
Mm-hmm.
last. And I would just say slow, just in the same way that you affirmed that anyone who sees a need should step cautiously, one thing at a time, in not suggesting any one person is going to solve something, or fix an entire system, whatever it may be. I just think a pacing of the
Mm-hmm.
building of something, even if you're building to serve this one thing, it, taking your time to do it is
Yeah.
the wisest way.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I've loved about working with you and Mark specifically, but finally home as a organization is that you are very deeply rooted, even though your services have expanded beyond that initial workshop
Hmm.
that you do, it is still
Hmm.
very much rooted in that as a
Hmm.
core. Like we're here to help
Hmm.
families become the best versions of themselves and be able
Yeah.
to each individually be the best versions of themselves.
Hmm.
Um, you're also open to kind of shifts and figuring out how do we best get this in front of the right people? How do we best serve people in a changing landscape? And so as you kind of, started and you started growing and you started seeing the impact and the positivity that you were impacting on these families, COVID hits, and all of a sudden your
Hmm.
in-person programming no longer can exist, but that only means that what the families need is greater than what it was
Hmm.
before COVID. Now that everybody's kind of stuck in their homes, so how how is it that you are kind of in a mindset way, like when that hit and you're trying to navigate change and you're trying to figure out, well, okay, well now what do we do? And you're trying to pivot. Like how do you guys move through that, or how did you move through that at the time as a team to kind of figure out what you were going to do and how you were going to approach that situation?
Yeah. And so many people had to do that, right? And
Yeah.
did it well. And most of us, the answer was virtual, something we couldn't have imagined. I'm sure you saw and were ready for
Yep.
that. We had this idea that in order for it to mean something, it had to be face to face. So
Mm-hmm.
when I look back now, I realize that the way you remain flexible is that you stay true to your mission and flexible on your method. I could see that right before COVID, this thing none of us could have imagined, we were building, had spent some years building the framework around the method. Here's how we, serve families in person. Here are all of our protocols, et cetera, all incredibly important. I can see how we started down a road of really becoming linked to the method, whereas COVID required that we just take a look at the mission and in by whatever means possible deliver that mission, and I'm grateful
Mm-hmm.
for that. With all the heartbreak of COVID for so many people in our world, I'm grateful that it gave us an opportunity to see that we could deliver, we could use different methods to deliver our mission and thereby impacting more people. The
Mm-hmm.
work we did to create the infrastructure and the methods around our in person, that was not wasted because we
Mm-hmm.
utilized that, and it's flexible and has allowed us to work in other countries and be able to share with people that they want to serve in the same way. So that's all wonderful as long as it doesn't become the king.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there were times where I was very much like, well, no, this is how you serve families effectively. And there have been times where I've had to say, oh gosh, I guess that actually isn't like a hill to die on. But you learn. And that's the bottom line is you flex and you go, maybe I could be open. And then there are those things that you say, no, this is a non-negotiable. You just have to remain open and listen to people who have experience in other deliveries, other methods. And then it really crystallizes the parts of your mission that you won't let go of.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. And so that kind of leads into, I mean, Finally Home's been around for over 20 years now. And so how burnout is such a real thing for development people, for executive directors, for founders, I mean, for board members, you have had a team around you that has supported you for a good chunk of
Mhm.
that time. But how do you kind of stay in it? Like, how do you stay energized to keep doing this work? You handle a lot of the creative and the programming side of things. So how do you kind of let the burnout keep that at bay, and how do you stay in it for the long haul?
Mhm. So I did say that this started out of our faith, and I will never,
Mm-hmm.
ever lose sight of that. And that has several implications. One is I am a manager, not an owner.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the Kristin Orphan or the Mark and Kristin Orphan show or ministry. And when you start something, it's tempting to believe that. And also, a lot of people kind of want to project that on you. So you can start to believe the hype. And you can believe it for good or bad. It's
Mm-hmm.
all your responsibility or it's all your fault. And as a leader,
Yeah.
there's some of that. But I have tried to learn over the years, sometimes better than others, that this is not about me, and that I don't want it to live or die based on my capacity or even my endurance. So, a couple practical things. One is through these years, I've taken 2 sabbaticals. That is an incredibly wonderful reminder and humble reminder that life goes on without you. We've seen great growth when I've stepped away, which is really wonderful. Um, we surround ourselves with really good people who are experts in what they do, like you, and we listen to them. Because if I have to control everything, then I'm right back to being the center of this universe. And not only do I not believe that for this organization, I don't believe that for life. I don't believe that in my
Mm-hmm.
relationships. I don't believe anything. I mean, there is a God and I'm not him. And I can't carry the weight of this organization, of this family. I wasn't meant to. I was meant to be obedient, to do my part, to invite others and even facilitate. Like, I mean, Sammy, you're one of, a whole team of people who are gifted at things that I'm not gifted at, that Mark's not gifted at. But also, it's a delight to see you work in your sweet spot, bring a perspective, and also to just enjoy it. I mean, we
Hmm.
want that for the people around us too. Like, do what you're good at, do what you enjoy doing. Yes, it is for the betterment of the organization, but I mean, it is for your good too, because you're doing what
Yeah.
you're made to do. And I just don't ever want to lose sight of that. And it's a reminder of those things. So you give away, you take responsibility, but you give away credit, and you give away, you delegate. You're willing to let go of things. You're willing to let things be done differently. Again, go back to the mission and your values. Other than that, there's so many ways to do things, and I don't want to control all of that. When
Yeah.
you feel like it's all up to you, that's a recipe for burnout, and that's a recipe for not just burnout of you personally, but burning through people and burning out the organization. Like, it's done when you're done. And we've seen that. And
Mm.
that, again, that's heartbreaking, because people will pour themselves into something for whatever duration of time, holding on so tightly because of a good thing. They want to do this, they want to be obedient, they want to be faithful. But it's, that just doesn't last forever. And things happen too. I mean, throughout this time, my husband had a very severe health issue. That was one of the
Mhm.
reasons for a sabbatical. Like, things happen. We're human, and we are replaceable. And we have to
Yeah.
have that mindset, and we've always got to be looking at who's going to step in. That doesn't mean that Finally Home has to go forever. If it's not meant to go forever, no problem. But it won't be for lack of releasing leadership.
Hmm. I think for me, working, because you said, I love that you said it's not just about you have people on the team that bring things to the table that are experts in those areas, but that we have fun doing it. And I think that that is very true, and that it's a very collaborative environment. And so we are a small team. I mean, we all bring different things to the table, but yet when we're coming together on new ideas or we're coming together on new programs and services, everybody kind of comes to the table and puts in their own little 2 cents. And then we're like, okay, this is the best. We all move forward and everybody's great and on board. But it's not ever just one person saying, this is what we're doing. Everybody fall in line. The fact that you and Mark both welcome feedback and engagement and ideas and like, okay, well, how does this affect this and affect that? I think that alone is a very unique leadership quality that most organizations don't have, whether they're founder led or not, especially founder led organizations. So I think that message about kind of releasing is so important. And I hope that people hear that, because it's not a releasing of um, your energy and what you've put behind it and your history with the organization. Letting go of that control does not mean that you become, what's the word I'm looking for? Not invalid. It doesn't minimize your contribution to the organization. And I think maybe that's
Mhm.
sometimes where people get stuck as somebody who's been in an organization for so long, is that I might become obsolete as opposed
Mm.
to people understanding the gifts that I've given to this organization. So I think the way that you worded that was really, really great.
Yeah.
Um, but also, just kind of as we look to 2025 for your organization, what are you excited about? Like, because I know there's lots of great opportunities that are showing up. But what are you excited about? What kind of lights you up, and what do you see kind of bringing you the most joy in 2025 with Finally Home, or just in general?
Well, I think one of the things that I try to answer these questions with kind of the first thing that pops into my mind, because I'm, again, someone
I
who
love
thinks
it.
about a lot of different things. So I'll just
That's
say
what we're here for.
I am excited about our team. I'm excited about giving
Mm,
away leadership. And I will just say, Mark and I don't do any of this perfectly, and we've had seasons where we've had to learn the hard way. So that's just something that I would encourage any leader.
hmm.
It's just like, be cautious to say I'm this kind of leader, I'm that kind of leader, because as a
Yeah.
leader, we have to grow and change and learn. And all of us, because I think that one of the reasons people hold on tightly is just this incredible sense of responsibility. They want to be responsible to what they have chosen to lead, and that is a really good value, and can be a trap for any and all of us. when we're, feeling that good sense of responsibility, and it turns toxic when it becomes something like, oh my gosh, like I have to be in everything because it's my responsibility. So surrounding yourself
Mhm.
with people you trust is one of the ways that you're kind to yourself,
Yeah.
because you can begin to release that. And trust is a really big deal. And many of us leaders, we've experienced the negative side of that too, when you've given something away. So that's life. And that's the hard thing. And
Yeah.
so we have some of our bad habits, we've earned them, so to speak, but we want to keep learning and growing through them. So I am excited about our team. It is a relief because we've had some folks get trained up in ways that in 2025 now they don't need us so much. And that
Mm.
is wonderful. We've been walking along and tried to be diligent in the training process, and now we're releasing some of them. And we've joked as a team and said, training wheels are coming off now, like go be
Yeah.
free, flourish. We want that. And especially, my husband, he's very entrepreneurial. And so he's always thinking about the next thing, the next thing. And I tend to be the one who's a little bit behind him going, okay, let's make sure that we've got the structures in place, but we both want to release. So I'm excited about
Yeah.
that because I believe that we've got some folks that are being released into things. And I love in our team meetings when we do this thing called round robin and we get reports. I love it when somebody reports on something that I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's really fun. And also super cool that you are totally handling that. And I did not know.
Yeah.
And I get to be, excited about that. I'm excited about our growing virtual trainings
Mhm.
and footprint. And then just oh, I love our family journey show because we just get to talk to people who are from all walks of life, and it's related to families like ours, but it's not like our training. It's
Mhm.
more just this kind of expanding of the family. So all of those things I'm pretty excited about, but probably the very first one is just that our team is being released to really lead their areas.
Mhm. Yeah, and I want to make sure that we make it clear too that the culture and the way to allow the team to be able to take charge, take off their training wheels and move forward is that you've also built a culture of failure is okay. Any
Hmm.
idea can come to the table.
Hmm.
And that sometimes we try things and they don't work so great. Sometimes
Hmm.
they work really well. We're going to try some things. And that culture of allowing people to be creative and come to the table with ideas because like you said in the round robins, sometimes things come up from other people that aren't even involved in that particular task,
Hmm.
but because we had it in a group setting, now the whole thing gets lifted up another level because they're like, oh, I didn't think about that, or that's a great concept, or
Hmm.
let's like bring. So I think that is super important, that culture. So kind of reinforcing your don't worry about the type of leader you are, necessarily foster the right culture within your team.
Hmm.
And it kind of all comes together on
Hmm.
their own. So I love that. And of course the family journey show is great, and we will link all of those links up in the show notes. But Kristin, as we kind of wrap this up, if you were going to maybe share something to listeners out there that are maybe year end didn't go so great or year end went awesome, or maybe they're just kind of struggling in their day to day, or just need to be kind of uplifted in order to keep doing the work that we know is so important that they're doing. Kind of how do you give yourself a pep talk, or like is there a particular verse that brings you comfort, or how do you
Hmm.
kind of, what might you say to somebody that just needs a little extra boost to just kind of keep doing the incredible work that we know they need to do? All right, I put you on the
Well,
spot with that one. I didn't prep
that's
Kristin for that
okay.
question.
I love that. I love that. So, I mean, there is a verse in Isaiah, and I believe it's in the chapter 43. I'm not entirely sure the verse, possibly 43:1, but you can read the chapter. But it
Yeah.
basically, God is saying, when you go through deep waters, I will be with you. And we've been doing, actually, we do we call it spiritual formation, optional for everybody to join in on Wednesday before our team meeting, just for encouragement. And we've been going through a series on not being anxious. And what we keep
Mm.
coming to is that the antidote to this anxiety, whatever its root, and certainly leaders. Oh, wow. I mean, we carry this weight with us. But I'm just going to come back to anxiety, whatever it was, whether it's like you said, Sammy, we didn't have a good year end. And so we're stressed, or we had a really great year end. And now we've got to, we've got to really live up to this amazing like expectation, whatever it is, anxiety, right? Worry. We keep coming back to the same thing. The antidote to anxiety is knowing that the Lord is near, and we have been promised his presence daily, moment by moment. And that this, I mean, for me, I cannot live anything. We didn't even get into our personal journey as a family, and why you shouldn't necessarily start a nonprofit while you're living out the hardest parts of your story. But that is just that is the way it went. It kept us humble. There is no way for me to live or do, nor would I ever want. Like, this is not a cause to me. This is an act of obedience. This is not I want to do something good. This is an act of obedience, period. I am not that good of a person that I would give my life to something like this. It is, all of us, we don't get paid enough. It's like, this is an act of obedience, and I know who I'm obeying. And he is promised to be present with me in everything, that he is making a way, and he is both working in me as he works through me. And at the end of the day, as I said from the beginning, I'm not an owner, I'm a manager, and I am his child. And Jesus says his yoke is easy and his burden is light. He invites us to come away. Even circling back to, you talked about burnout and sabbatical. Well, the root is Sabbath. We have to take breaks. We are never, if we say, oh, after this season is done, we're going to take a break. Oh, once we get to this point, we're going to take a break. You cannot do that. And that's not how life was meant to be lived. And so, to answer your question, no matter what your worry, no matter what your burden is, just remember you're not alone in it. That there is a God who loves you more than you can imagine, who's walking in it. And if this thing is worth doing, it's because he put it on your heart, and he never asked you to do it without him. He's inviting you, like we invite team members and staff members. He's inviting you to be a part of it for your betterment and to be used, for good in this world. We just have to remember that it is not all up to us. That's it.
I love that. It's so good. Well, Kristin, great way to wrap this up. If people want to learn more about Finally Home, how can they do that?
Well, you can absolutely check out our website that the excellent Sammy continues to oversee and rework as we grow faster, and let her know, oh yeah, Sammy, we're doing this now too. So finallyhome.net, and then you'll share all of the links to all of the other things. Reach out. If you can't find what you're looking for, contact us, because we would just love to have a conversation with you and to encourage you. And for all of you leaders, maybe even in unrelated fields, if there's anything we can do just to encourage you today, then please reach out to us about that too.
Yep. And we will link all of that up in the show notes at thefirstclick.net/293. As your marketing person, that was kind of a test, just to, kind of see if you got your spiel down for where to direct people for more information. So I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here on this episode. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much again to Kristin for joining me today. Everything will be linked up, all of the links to the Family Journey show she mentioned, finallyhome.net, and all of the other ways that you can connect with them at thefirstclick.net/293. If you know of a foster, adoptive, or kinship family that could use support with post-placement training, with relationships, with trauma or mental health support, please make sure you reach out to them. They have some great resources and programs available to help families nationwide. And you can, again, check them out at finallyhome.net. They have a soft spot in my heart, and I have so enjoyed working with them for the past few years. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen, and head on over to the Podcast-a-thon and make sure that you grab some other episodes that you might want to listen to featuring other nonprofits. Again, this whole week in March, there are over 1,000 podcasts that are dedicating their episodes to featuring nonprofits. And so we are so grateful to be a part of it. Thank you so much for listening. And again, we will see you in the next one.